You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 346, and my name is Clark from 5cardguys.com. You can also find me on social media at 5cardguys, all one word, on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. Co-hosting with me, as usual, is Hyung, who is at Hyung on IG and YouTube as well. All right, off the top today, in our WhatsApp sports card chat group that we're both in, we're already looking forward to the next upcoming MLB season, and in particular, for us baseball prospect and rookie card collectors, we're excited about seeing one prospect, and his name is Konnor Griffin. And his first Bowman Chrome rookie auto is already, as expected, going for a premium. But even still, Hyung, you seem to be super high on him. We've talked offline. So I want you to talk about Konnor Griffin. What do you see in him? And we'll talk about his cards afterwards. So
as a player, I would say very exciting in terms of any number one prospect, right? So,
sure,
there's hype around number one prospects for a reason, but it's also dangerous from a card collecting perspective. But we'll talk about the card side after. But what I see in Konnor Griffin and why I like him so much is he reminds me of an upgraded Mike Trout, if that. Not in terms of obviously Mike Trout is, has accomplished so much in his career and you can't compare the two. But if I were to say, true 5 tool, but an upgraded version of Mike Trout, it would be Konnor Griffin in terms of the physical capability. We're talking, this guy can hit. This guy's 19 years old. This guy's 6'4", 230, probably 10 to 12% body fat. He could steal bags. You think he stole 65 bags last year. He hit 21 home runs in his first full season of minor league baseball as a 19-year-old, spanning across single A to double A, which is insane. Hit 300 plus in every single league, and now is rated the number one prospect. And for me, what I'm learning is, what causes this hype around, baseball players, because a lot of people say, oh, this guy is in the minors and he hit 350 and he gets no love. Why does someone like Konnor Griffin's price justify, that valuation or whatever everybody's thinking? And there's a few reasons, but I think the main reason is obviously the upside that, Konnor Griffin has in terms of who he can be as a Major League Baseball player. I think that's one of the biggest things that drive the market is the upside.
Potential.
Yeah. And we're not talking, he's good enough to make the major leagues. I think in everybody's mindset, this guy is the type of guy that people expect to be MVP type caliber. And that's the dangers of it. It's like he's 19 years old. Realistically, we put all these crazy expectations, right? Within that, and then everybody buys based off that. So, and we've seen it. Anthony Volpe comes to mind, massive prospect. And I still personally believe in Volpe as a talent, and I always did. And it might take him a few years to figure that out. He's running out of time in terms of that time frame, but it's not saying it's over. But that's the realities of it. The prospect marketplace is such a volatile thing that a lot of people like to participate because it's quick money. So I'll give you a perfect example. We're going to go into the cards now. You could have bought, just a couple months ago, that refractor auto for probably less than $2,000. And in my opinion, there's one on bid that I think could go closer to $3,000. And I told you this before. It's like, I think last week we talked about the cards a bit. I think that it could be a $5,000 card, as crazy as that sounds, eventually, right? During the right time, if he goes off in spring training. But that's what we're dealing with. It's nothing more than hype plus now expectations. And it's a good time now because there's no risk, really.
Yeah.
Right? Because he can't go out there and crap the bed and then everybody starts selling. It's the hype before that everybody's bought into because of news media or for whatever reason. And then you put on social media and everything and you see this guy on video, you're like, hey man, this guy, imagine him and Paul Skeens, in Pittsburgh. That's crazy to have one of the two biggest stars in the game from a position player standpoint and a pitcher standpoint, right? So I think it's all of that encompassed in the timing of it is what we're seeing right now.
The perfect storm.
The perfect storm.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, we usually say when there's a perfect storm, it's usually a good time to sell. You can always buy back in because after every storm, there's a calming down period, right? So
absolutely,
that's inevitable. But before we go to the card specifically, I want to kind of put Konnor Griffin in perspective, the hype around him, like you were talking about. And in this one article I read, I think it was in Yahoo, I've got to double check, but they look at the scouting reports of like the past few top prospects we definitely talked about on this podcast too when they were coming up, and some of them did well, some of them the hype was so large that they couldn't just possibly hit those expectations, right? But one number I want to look in particular, and we got to take scouting with a grain of salt because it's not easy to scout young guys, and as teenagers especially, and they're still developing into their bodies, so let's take it with a grain of salt. But if you add all the the tool grades together, 300 is the magic number, where anything 300 and above, you're an elite prospect, or you're considered elite prospect. And here's the top 10, okay, in the past decade or so. Oscar Taveras, 300, rest in peace.
Yes.
Jackson Holliday, 300. Vladdy Guerrero Jr., 300. So they're 8, 9, and 10. Okay, they're the bottom of the top 10. Now we go up to 305, Julio Rodriguez, right? Another 305, Wander Franco. That's another issue altogether, but he was a good player. 310, we're going up to Bobby Witt Jr., okay? Another 310, Carlos Correa. Now we're in the top 3. 315, some guy named Ronald Acuna Jr. Konnor Griffin at number 2, 325.
Wow.
And who was number 1 at 355? Who would you guess as a top prospect? I think this one is actually
a tricky question. Yeah, I'm going to say it's definitely not someone who we expect. Because it's prospect, right? And I've seen so many guys not kind of fit into their potential. And that's what we have here. I wouldn't even know who this is, but it has to be like someone that we're just like, what?
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's a shame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a good still major league player, but I'll give you clues. Minnesota Twins.
So who do we got? Minnesota. He's active. So,
outfielder.
Is it Royce Lewis?
Nope. That's a good guess though.
Brian Buxton.
Byron
Buxton.
Yeah, 100. 355.
100%. Yeah, I remember this actually. I should have had this like quicker, but
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, that is crazy. But that's to show like, okay, that's a perfect example how that 350 and those scouting grades are basically I'm guessing cumulative of all their like 5 tools basically, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, we talked about Vladdy and Wander before and why I was high on them. They have 80 hit tools. Not a lot of people get the 80 hit tools, but they'll float around 70s, 75s, and kind of like the people that we talk about on the podcast without knowing these scouting numbers. I would say relatively those guys would be the hobby chase. And that would be the reason why, because from a scouting world, what you see and extrapolate from that would be Ronald Acuna Jr. You would have the manifestation of the potential of Ronald Acuna. We've seen Vladdy do Vladdy things. That would be what the scouts are talking about, that no other person under 300 can achieve that, because everything would have to click to have that physical potential. And it's not saying that they can't achieve those numbers, but on the high end of a player of what they're projected to do, that's what you're going to get on the high side. So I'll explain this perfectly. Byron Buxton, the same thing. It's like, I wouldn't say he's a hobby favorite, right? Now, if he stole 60 bags and hit 50 home runs, of course. So now you have kind of like that and prices to go off of, saying, hey, where does this fit in the whole equation? Man, am I holding bags right now?
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. But to be fair to that list, that's a good list of 10 players. At least. But
what are the cards worth?
So that's an excellent segue to where I'm going to go next. Okay. Konnor Griffin. I'm just looking at base chrome for the first Bowman Chrome base auto PSA 10. That's the standard. Okay. Konnor Griffin, if you wanted to get a base chrome auto PSA 10, $1,200. Okay?
Crazy.
So it's high, obviously, because of all the things you mentioned earlier. Ronald Acuna, $1,895 for his base chrome rookie auto. Bobby Witt, who we both love, $1,600. Okay? So those are still higher than Konnor Griffin, and rightfully so. But even then, it's not that far off. You know what I mean? Right, 1,600 to 1,200. I'd rather have a Bobby Witt for 1,600 than a
what would Konnor have to do to what the difference between Acuna and Witt and Konnor right now in terms of achievement is massive in terms of that difference.
Right. Okay, and now I'm going to go underneath in the top 10 list I've read. Carlos Correa, he was a top prospect. He did well with Houston, and then he kind of really dropped off. $99.
Wow.
Right?
Crazy.
$99 for his first Bowman Chrome base auto PSA 10. And then Byron Buxton.
Yeah. $72. Crazy.
Yeah. So that's the risk, right?
But I feel like one thing to note on that list, in prospects, it's so important to understand timelines. You can't use the same logic as Konnor Griffin hasn't, like what I was saying. It's like he's so far off in terms of accomplishments. You can't use that logic because prospecting follows a different timeline. And what that means is there's going to be a point in time, let's just say Konnor, goes off, and even though he goes off, prices won't grow. Right? So you're already out of the prospecting timeline. Right. You're already, because it doesn't matter. And I'll give you a perfect example. Before the whole hype of, sports cards, Ronald Acuna was a perfect example. He was, I would say, one of the most hyped prospects, and Soto kind of followed eventually. But I remember in 2019, and people thought I was crazy and I thought I was crazy too, because we're paying ridiculous amounts for these sports cards when the market wasn't even hot. But I remember paying $2,000 for a Bowman PSA 10 base auto. Acuna. And I paid $3,500 for a BGS 10 auto. And people thought I was the most insane person. And rightfully so, because it didn't make sense at the time.
Yeah.
But that was the peak. Or at least it was close to the peak. And it didn't matter what Acuna did in the big leagues. Yes, there was a point in time where, his MVP season, he went off. And it probably hit those amounts. But then again, it would crash. And that's Ronald Acuna, future Hall of Famer, one of the most exciting. And obviously he ran into a lot of injuries that kind of affected his price. But my point is that the timeline changes drastically in terms of like Byron Buxton compared to Konnor Griffin right now. because you can't compare the two, or will you ever be able to, because the timelines are totally different. And there's a point in time where these hype up prospects, it's a sell. Look at Wander Franco, look at Volpe, look at Vladdy's numbers or even prices throughout the year. His top prices were when he was a prospect, and they probably will never get to where they used to be until he establishes himself as a Hall of Fame. And then I guarantee you extrapolate any crypto, any, type of long term, it's similar. You see the initial spike of, wow, I can't believe this costs, that much. And then within 2-3 years, it's worthless. That's the realities. I have hundreds, if not thousands, of Bowman Chromatos sitting where I don't even go through them because they're irrelevant. They're, if I could have sold, I wish I sold some of them because, and then the occasional you run into guys like Tariq Skubal where, they're sitting in your common cards and then all of a sudden you find a bunch of Bowman Chromatos, right? Because they were a nobody and then the price works in your favor. But that's the way card collecting should be, is they should be worthless when they're nobody. And as they develop in their careers, you get a bump and then you're excited about collecting. So that's why it's the buyer beware. If you want to be on the volatile ride where, hey, you could potentially flip within a week and make thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
That's the realities of it, right?
As long as they're still playing in the show, you got a chance. You got a chance.
I'm telling you, there's so much better buys. You mentioned Julio Rodriguez. I'm telling you, man, this guy has not even reached his stride yet. I think this year is the year for Julio, and I'm hoping that he absolutely goes off 40-40. That's what I expect him. 290 to 310. If he could put up that season with 1,000 OPS, I'm waiting for that with Julio. And like I said, he's one of the most underrated guys in the hobby right now in terms of his trajectory and what he's doing in the big leagues. And for me, guys like that, those are the buys, not the Konnor Griffin. Although I'm in on the Konnor Griffin hype because I think there's more space. There's more room. There's more room for Konnor to grow right now. And I think people are going to be surprised. And like I said, baseball's a game of failure. And it's against the odds that Connor's going to go and, make the big league squad and just going to go off and continue it. But if he does, we've seen what the market will do specifically with Ohtani when there's hype and there's performance.
That's true. And save that thought because you're going to ruin my pick one if you keep talking about J-Rod and Konnor Griffin. So that's a teaser. But save that thought because I'm interested to see how you
I have a similar one. So it's funny how we have these.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, let's move on then to hobby headlines. So kind of similar to evaluating, card values. We're going to do it here in this segment. On this pod in particular, we like to talk a lot, you kind of mentioned it, about Shohei Ohtani and often daydream about picking up his super high-end cards one day. But I read an article recently, I believe it's on SI.com, Sports Illustrated, that gave some, I would say, legitimate reasons as to why investing in Ohtani cards, especially in 2026, is, as the headline suggests, a dangerous investment.
Is it because he could only go down from what he's doing?
That's going to be a point. But yeah, let's see if we agree with all of his reasons.
All right.
And I want to start here first with the reason that there is a massive oversupply of Ohtani trading cards currently in existence. I think the trading card database counts right now around 24,000 different cards of Ohtani. And the author singles out his flagship rookie as an example, which is the 2018 Topps Chrome number 150, the pitching stance, which has a PSA 10 population of more than 15,000 copies, but it's still selling for $500 or so. So if he continues to play, he also makes this point, for the length of his contract, let's say another 10 years, the number of different cards available for Ohtani will easily surpass six figures at that point, right? So your thoughts on this reason why it could be very dangerous investment?
I think we said Ohtani was a dangerous investment since 2019, 2018, and how did that pan out for us? So
that's a good counter, yeah.
But no, I'm not going to disagree with it. Reality, but here's the thing: and we discussed this a bit on the game card side of things with, Pokemon, how, the pop counts still hold, and not saying that they'll hold at that price, but we've got a small sample size of, can the market hold and what's causing this to kind of hold, right? So pop 15,000 is ridiculous in terms of, pop count, but at the same time, I think, the market is determining that right now. I think there's enough buyers that we might see new floors, because I don't know. This is what I'm seeing, especially. And this might be a hot take or it might not, but for instance, Ohtani, people love collecting Ohtani in general. And I'm talking inserts. I'm talking base Topps Chrome cards. You don't have that with any other athlete, really, unless it's Michael Jordan, right? You have 90s insert collectors. You have insert collectors in general, Michael Jordan collectors. You don't really have that in baseball. Like, you don't have, the select few collecting Acuna's, inserts, but as the years go by, they kind of fizzle off. But with Ohtani, it's different. You have, and I'm included in that, because like for me, I still collect Ohtani, rare Ohtanis, doesn't matter. I think one of his best cards to collect and value wise is Ohtani inserts. Like, I'm all in on Ohtani inserts, to be honest. And like PSA 10s for cheap, because I think, for instance, I don't need to buy into the rookies, because I think rookies are long-term plays anyways. It's for me, it's like a numbered Ohtani. Of course I would like to have, but I see it as, I wouldn't try to flip it. It would be more of a purchase portfolio. You keep, you hold, you pass it on, that type. But what I'm interested, if I'm investing in Ohtani, is what's cheap right now. Right? That's still floor pricing, in my opinion, because it's not necessarily saying, okay, he has to perform for his cards to go up. Yeah, maybe in the Topps Ohtani where everybody's looking at, but in terms of other opportunities, I think that's where you look at. That's where the opportunities lie, where, hey, the Topps Chrome Raw of Ohtani and X Fractor maybe sells for $10-15 raw, and then, you do 10 of those purchases and you send them away to PSA, and then see how you do in terms of, let's just say he goes off, you don't see a much bump in the Ohtani 700 Topps, 2018, but it could be a 300-400% flip, on an insert, right? So I think the game is totally different on Ohtani. So I disagree with him looking at it or that article looking at it as a linear, saying, oh, yes, for sure. In our logic, prices have to go down. There's no way that a pop 15,000 card retains at 500 or whatever it's at. But then when it's 1,000 and it's retaining there for the time being, that $500 question is not even relevant, because we're still riding this. People said that at $200. I said that at $200. A base card can't stand $200. But here we are, $500. Can it stand $1,000? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to your point, Ohtani is kind of in his own tier, right? So I see that. I think for me, just the sheer number of it, if it continues to grow, there will be a ton of cards that I just can't see having any kind of value other than personal PC value, right? So, but on the flip side, I think, because there are so many cards, there will be some more than usual, compared to other players, diamonds in the rough, where, they're not considered to be great value now, but down the road, I could see it being valued more than it is now. And for example, like, I'm beginning to look at non-rookie cards, of course, but even beyond numbered cards, like, what cards just have a nice visual appeal? Like, what cards just looks nice and sharp? Yeah. That, down the road, people are going to say, like, wow, this is a nice looking Ohtani card. If there's that many cards in existence, there's going to be some duds for sure. They're like, oh, that's an awful pose. You know what I mean? Who wants to collect that? But if you kind of like, to your eye, like, this is, I think this has good eye appeal and the image is great. Down the road, I'm sure there'll be more collectors as the hobby becomes even larger. with more collectors, more Ohtani fans coming in, they'll be like, oh, this card is sick. Yeah. I want this. And then enough people say that, guess what? That value of that non-numbered, base card, insert card, I could see that going up in value. So I think that's a play, but I think there will be a lot of, like, you just can't collect any card of Ohtani and expect all of them to go up. That's not the strategy.
I don't know. It's looking, I thought the same thing with like Topps Chrome, base, Topps. People are buying base Topps PSA 10s that like have no business.
I still don't get it. I guess that's what I'm saying. I still don't understand.
And here's one thing to understand pop counts if you're buying Ohtani like bases and stuff. There's a reason why it's low pop is because nobody's submitting them because it didn't make sense. So don't fall into the pressure of, oh, this is a base, pop 20. Oh, the value is there. It's like, no, man, if people submit it, there's like 10,000 of those around. So it's not that rare. It's only rare. So with that point, I think you're absolutely right though, in terms of like eye appeal. And I'll give you a perfect example. This is the craziest. This is what I'm talking about. Why like Ohtani inserts or kind of eye appeal cards in general. If you look at his, the Stadium Club Chrome, 2020, he's in his Angels uniform. Okay, I'm going to look at comps right now, but it's basically him pitching. It's like a horizontal image. Beautiful card, and everybody would agree. But if you look at the comps right now, it is insane. Like for a card, and somebody mentioned it that this card was like the LeBron chalk toss. You know what I mean? But in terms of eye appeal, I get it. Like I would want this card in terms of the eye appeal of it. And if you look at the recent comps, I remember this was like, it was pretty cheap before, but I think now we're looking at, like these are ridiculous. Like $510 for a Stadium Club Chrome base Shohei Ohtani PSA 10. 500, buy it now, $599. And this is January 11th. So I'm guessing it's still going up. And then the refractor version, we're talking over $1,000. So for me, it's like, that is insane. Like, that's where you're at. That was a $20 card. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like the eye appeal is real. There are real Shohei Ohtani collectors that, and I have a few more cards that I'm not going to name because like they're on my target list, but that's what I'm talking. Like there's a lot of good Shohei inserts, a lot of good Shohei cards that are worthless right now, but I'm telling you, that's where the play is.
I agree. So there you go. That's a little bit of nuance for the first reason that this author gives in terms of being careful with investing in Ohtani cards. But here, let's go on to his second reason. And this is interesting. The fact that he's a two-way player can work against him, especially as he gets older. We already know that pitching injuries seem to be trending up these days. And since Ohtani himself is also a pitcher, any stint, and he's already been on the DL for pitching, but any future stint on the DL will also likely impact his batting numbers. So if you look further down the line, if he only ends up becoming a hitter in his latter days of his career, the thought is that his card value might also go down or dip as he loses that so-called two-way player premium. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. But you're already shaking your head.
You're using too much logic here. Like it does not apply. Like this is what we're talking about. Like I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Okay, if you look at Ohtani's, let me pull up his pitching stats. He was injured in 2019. He was injured in 2024. Okay, he hasn't pitched much, and you're right. Usually that affects a player. Every time he was injured, his prices went up. Make it make sense. It doesn't. That's my whole point. You can't use logic and saying that it's going to be.
You have to use hobby logic. Yes.
You got to use hobby logic, and that's the way people think for whatever reason, and rightfully so. Like I said, 3-time MVP in 4 years, runner-up in the one he didn't win. World Series championship, like crazy. Like it's ridiculous of what he's doing. So it's like you cannot apply those logic points into something. I get it. It makes sense. I agree. Like, I agree when I logically, but hobby logically, it doesn't make sense.
And I think we've said this on the pod too. He's already done so much. He's done more than any even future MLB player will ever do in their career. Right. You know what I mean?
100%.
So that's you got that going for Ohtani, and his floor is much higher for those reasons. But yeah, if he just becomes a batter, and he could still put up crazy numbers, right? Like, just as a batter. So I think you got to factor that into account. Like, he's not going to be an average player just by playing either pitching or batting, one or the other. So Ohtani, yeah, he's again a tier of his own. So I agree with you with this point. All right, last one, and this is what you're kind of mentioning before we started this segment. His best cards are already priced as if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and the GOAT of baseball, which he may be to some people. So do you think the future potential growth is already limited because of the crazy high prices we're seeing now?
I think the play with Ohtani, and if we're talking his best cards,
yeah,
it's one of those things is if you can possibly purchase it, it's like lock away. I think there's multiple people with this, and this is why I think prices are getting ridiculous, is because you don't have guys that, I mean, you do have guys that love to flip it because money talks at the end of the day. But I think there's people that really think that these cards are grails. Like, we seen it with what we talked about, the Honus Wagner, the T206. We talked about the 52 Mantle, which you posted a PSA 9. We didn't say a PSA 9 because PSA 9 value was higher than the 5 mil. I would have did that comp with a PSA 8. Maybe.
Sure. I did say in brackets, assuming the value is the same.
I would with the one you posted, I would take the PSA 9, well-centered, perfectly, 1952 tops in that case. But going back. Fair. Yeah. So, sorry, what was the question again?
That, do you think his prices are already baked in essentially in terms of...
Yeah, the high-end stuff, I think, is just... It's
the O'Leary strategy, right? That's what he's doing. He's just getting the high-end stuff because he thinks it's just going to go up even more.
Yeah, because the supply is so low, right? Like, to me, it's like that's the key. It's supply demand. It all goes back to supply and demand. Now, let's just say Shohei Ohtani becomes irrelevant for the next 20 years for some reason. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in trouble. You're holding back. But it's that thing. It's like, do you see that happening? If you don't see that happening, I think those type of cards are like lock away anyways. So for me, those type of cards are you overpay in today's market price, and it's a discount in the future.
I agree. How about like not those super rare cards, like his Bowman Chrome, even his rookie auto, you know what I mean? Like base or refractor 499 in that range. I
think those cards still apply. Because you're still in a low pop, high demand situation. Like, obviously the 220 to number to 25, number to 50, number to 99, those are like really supply demand in your favor. 499s, we're talking, look at pop 15,000 and how that's holding. How much better is a 499 going to hold in terms of value if it goes the other way? For a momentarily, right? So to me, those cards are safer, I would say, than the higher pop cards, because when things go the other way, the higher pop cards are the first to go because it's still the same supply demand principle, right? Mm. So that's what I'm saying is, you're going to have to overpay, and they apply to all cards that are demanded that have a lower pop. And the first to go, and I'm thinking in my pick one, a perfect example would be a Prism refractor. Where do you see that? Like for me, I wouldn't touch it personally. But but can it hold? Well, if it's like, I don't know the pop on top of my head, pop 700 or whatever it is, maybe, right? Like, I'm not so certain. I'd rather personally have Bowman Chrome Auto because the pop is a lot better in your circumstance than a regular base card. But yeah, I think it's going to apply all the way to the top. And the more rare card you have, the more overpaid you're going to have to pay.
Yeah, no, that for sure I agree with, right? But I wonder for the non-numbered higher pop stuff that are going for thousands even, I would tread carefully.
First to go. They're the first to go.
Yeah, first to drop if anything bad happens, for sure. But in general, to kind of tie up this segment, a lot of these points make sense for 99% of the players, right? But Ohtani is kind of in that, you have to be more nuanced with Ohtani cards. I guess that's our main point.
100%. And that's why Ohtani is fun to collect, right? Is because there's such a huge demand to it, and it doesn't apply. You can't use the same logic you use with even Konnor Griffin with Ohtani, right? Because a perfect example is this. Like, I was kind of wheeled in on this, like this Konnor Griffin hype is like Bowman Spotlight. If you see Ohtani's Bowman Spotlight, like PSA 10's like $6,000 or $7,000. It's ridiculous. And if you look at every other card, like Konnor Griffin's card, Bowman Spotlight, PSA 10, probably $500-$600. Mm-hmm. You can't use the logic saying that the upside is Ohtani's Bowman Spotlight, because there's so many variables that affect that price point for Konnor Griffin to justify that Bowman Spotlight will ever get to even 1,000 or 2,000. Maybe it does, right? Yeah. But to me, it's two same cards, two totally different players and strategies and results and outcomes.
And that's a good point, because you can go even deeper, right? Ohtani's an international star. Right. Where Griffin doesn't have that appeal outside of the U.S. or North America right now, right? Yeah, good point. So Ohtani is just a different guy altogether. But yeah, I thought this was a fun discussion. I'm still looking for a good Ohtani.
I'm always looking at Ohtani, man.
For 2026, yeah. And then hopefully when we pick some up, we'll be able to share that on the pod.
And something I was pumped. I shared this with you offline. Speaking of Ohtani. So I tried Arena Club for the first time,
Oh yes, yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I want to see the experience, because, I see the checklists, I see the chase cards, and I'm like, the odds aren't too bad to hit something meaningful, but a lot of the base cards are like I don't think the value's there. So I end up ripping one. Cool experience, by the way. And I've had experiences similar where, you rip packs, with Panini Digital and stuff like that. And I pulled a 2025 Topps Ohtani All-Star, the no-name version. So it was numbered out of 35.
That's crazy.
And at first I thought, I'm pumped that it's Shohei Ohtani. I thought it was just a base PSA 9. I'm like, this has to be worth. There's no way this is more than $250. Probably like a PSA 10 might be $150, right? Yeah. Because it looked like a base card when I first pulled it.
Right.
And then I realized there was the no-name version, and a raw card comp was $650. Just last week. So to me, it was like a huge rare win of unexpected. Because I was in the boat where I'm just like, you're not going to get your money's worth. Like, you're better off ripping regular boxes. I'm telling you, slab packs, I've done better on slab packs than ripping wax, which is crazy. Okay. But it's not going to be the case. I'm just saying that was a lucky hit. Just like, I guess it's like whenever you see people post crazy hits, this is my first time ripping, pulls a superfractor. You're done. You're hooked.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. It happens to everybody. So it's like, I'm telling you, that's the same thing. I'm done ripping slab packs, because I know it only goes downhill from here.
House always wins.
House always
wins. But that was a cool story. That was a cool car. I mean, when you sent it to me, I had to look at it closely, because the eye appeal, honestly, it's like an old school, almost like a junk wax era card.
Junk wax era, 1990s Topps inserts. We all know that. We grew up on that 1990s design, which I hate. They use that so much. But I will say, so that was Series 2, no name. The Series 1 no name is the true 1990 like design where Shohei's batting in a Dodgers uniform. It doesn't have the all-star thing, but it has no name. The no name in blue. And that is double the price of this one.
Wow.
Because of the eye appeal again. Same print run out of 35, but doubled in price just because it's Series 1 versus Series 2. And the image is more appealing in Series 1, in my opinion. And people are after that versus this card. So something to note.
You know what? I hope our listeners are getting something out of this. You know, like if you're priced out of Ohtani, like a lot of us are in the hobby, this is a fun way of collecting cards. Like look for something you're like,
rare.
oh, I love the look of this card. You know?
Yeah, rare. And just to give good point, Clark, that card that we were talking about just in December was selling for $230 raw.
Wow.
So that same card sold
3X.
for $650 a month later. So that's why I'm saying if you're out of the Ohtani game in terms of the high demand cards, you're looking at the wrong cards.
Yes, 100% agree. All right, let's move on to our next segment because it's related to Ohtani. It's over under. All right, so for this over under, they're all Shohei Ohtani cards, but they're all from 2025 sets. Okay?
I like
and the
this.
Number is $10,000. Over under.
No
10,000.
card should be worth 10,000 in 2025 set.
This is why this is gonna be fun. All right, first one. It just sold yesterday. I put this on my daily auctions page. A quick plug: 5cardguys.com/daily auctions. Curated every day for you guys. The 2025 Topps Sapphire Shohei Ohtani Selections Autograph PSA 10. So it's in his Dodgers uniform, of course.
Topps Chrome. Could you have an image by chance?
Topps Sapphire is. I'm gonna share it with you. 1 second.
Yeah, I just want to see this thing, man. Because this $10,000 is a lot of coin for 2025 card. This has to be one of the sexiest cards. Okay, it's not. It has eye appeal. I see that. Do you know the print run on this? Sapphire Selection. So this is an insert auto.
It is. Is it insert auto? I don't know.
I can't see this selling
Sapphire.
for over 10,000. It's ridiculous if it is. I'm sorry. Like I would.
Pop count is 6.
6?
PSA 10. Yeah.
Gosh.
Total pop is 9.
No, I can't see this. I would say yes. It's still expensive. Probably $6,000 to $8,000, but I'm not going to say over 10.
All right. It sold yesterday for $11,300.
Insanity. I will give you 11,000 inserts to buy. That would do way better than that in the future.
All right. The next one, and I'll show you a picture of it after I tell you what it is. The 2025 Topps Diamond Icons Patch Autograph Card, numbered to 25. It's PSA authentic, but the auto is graded a 10. All right. So here's what it looks like.
So people are on iPeel. That's what I'm. Yeah, this is. If the last one sold for 10, this has to sell for more than 10.
Okay. It sold January 22nd for $8,500.
I see. This. I'm out. This is stupid. Like, how could the first card you showed me, and you guys listen to this. You guys be the judge. Which card would you rather have?
Yeah.
And I get the horizontal versus vertical, but there's no way that first card outsells this by $3,000. That's our market for you. but I would say, yeah, it kind of makes sense because it is not great. It's authentic, so it means the condition is bad, but it's still at a 25, and you still have the auto as a 10. So I could see that's the main reasoning, and the other one has a premium because it's a PSA 10 auto 10. But other than that, which I would rather have this card for $8,000 than the other card for 11.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. So this is the better play. All right, this is gonna now that you're confused.
I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I don't know if you probably don't know. You're just a guess at this point.
Yes, I'm
right?
0 for 2.
The 2025 Topps Diamond Icons autograph, numbered to 25, and it's a CGC authentic slab. Okay, so it's not even a PSA. I'll show you what it looks like. Numbered to 25, like I said, and here's what it looks like.
See, there's no way that is over 10 grand. But that's what I'm saying. So I was 0 for 2 using my logic. It's the same thing. It's like everybody says they would do so well in the casino if they just bet the opposite. Because if you're losing money, you just bet the opposite, right?
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. It's like I'm 0 for 2 at this point. I'm going to say that card that absolutely has no business being over 10K, I'm going to guess over 10K.
I knew this was going to happen. It's going to mess you up with the first two. It sold for $7,500.
See? 0 for 3. So everything, I would have been perfect if I did completely opposite of what I thought.
You have to
was gonna
use
happen.
hobby logic. This is how you win this game, right?
And I'm telling you, you casino goers do the same thing. Every time you go bet, do the opposite of what you're going to do, and you probably do well. It's logic, right? That's the way it works.
Yeah, 100%. All right, two more
Jeez
because
Louise.
this is so much fun. The 2025 Topps 5-star, okay? Relic Patch Auto, number to 10, raw. Okay? So
Let's see it. I'm going to do the complete opposite.
yeah, let's see what happens if you use hobby logic on this, okay? There it is. Horizontal, nice patch. I think it's a letter, blue and white.
Two color patch.
Out of 10.
What set is that?
Topps 5-star, 2025.
That's crazy.
On-card auto.
Man.
Your mind wants to say one thing, but your heart says another, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say over 10,000.
The correct answer, sold January 12th this year for $8,000.
So I'm 4 for 4.
The other way, yeah. Oh,
Amazing. Yeah, that's the plan. Like that's 100% the plan. Because it's pretty good. If I go over 5, it's amazing. That means it's exactly what I'm talking about.
all right, last one. The 2025 Topps Diamond Icons. A lot of Diamond Icons. Jumbo,
Yeah.
red, number to 5. Okay? But it's a BGS 8.5. A lot of factors to consider. Okay? What do you think it goes for? Another horizontal card. I don't know if that has anything to do with the sale, but there it is. Red, number to 5.
Beautiful.
Nice patch.
See, I would.
BGS 8.5 though.
I got to go 5 for 5 on this. I gotta say under 10K.
The answer is $12,000.
5 for 5, baby. 5 for 5.
You just used your common logic. You gotta use our hobby logic next time, right?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the way you got to think about this. You know, at the end. And I would say out of all the cards that you showed me, that last one is very nice. Like I would say that might be worth it. But I would like to have the person that purchased that first Ohtani
Yeah. The Sapphire?
be on the pod. I would love you to interview him for 10-15 minutes because that might be a $20,000 card, knowing our market, right?
Doesn't make sense, but you could be right.
It doesn't make sense, but it could happen. But like seriously, like this is nuts in terms of collecting because I don't think the value's there on those cards. Like I would totally spend $10,000 on, like I said,
Yeah.
you know, I showed you multiple options and different cards that aren't as desired right now that I rather have as an Ohtani collector. But to each their own. That's the beauty of the hobby is that buy what you love. And usually, you know, you can't go wrong with that equation because you have a choice whether to either sell it, you know, or, you know, you take the loss and hold the bag because you love it.
Man, I don't think I've had this much fun doing over-under in such a long time because of the craziness of the Ohtani market. That's case in point right there. All right, let's wrap up with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. All right, Hyung, do you want to start things off for us?
Sure, and I apologize. Like we didn't mean for this to be another Ohtani episode, but I think it's well warranted. Like people are Ohtani collectors. I love talking about collecting Ohtani. I browse eBay every night looking at Ohtani.
Yep.
But and one thing to do, guys, if you are an Ohtani collector like me, go through your base Ohtanis, man. Like not base Ohtanis, just random Ohtanis. I've found so many cards that are worth $200 to $500 in terms of just stuff I wasn't expecting. Right? It's just like popping up everywhere. So something to do. But I have to bring up Ohtani in this because I want to also make a point. So the Prism, I mentioned that the Topps Chrome Prism Refractor, so his white jersey, 2018 Topps Chrome, Prism Refractor, card number 150.
Yeah.
So that recently sold for $2,800.
$2,800?
PSA 10.
Wow, okay.
A PSA 10, $2,800. Crazy, yeah. Can't say. Can't believe it. So would you rather buy that Prism Refractor, or would you rather, and this is on bids currently, which is the 2024 Bowman Chrome Refractor Auto of Konnor Griffin. So same card that, we've been talking about with Jared, on the Mike Trout trade. So this is on auctions and it ends tomorrow. So this episode will air after the auction, but I think it will land between $2,500 and $3,000. Okay. I think there's a chance that it might go over $3,000. And that's the crazy part. And this is why I told you to hold on that the Trout swap, because I had a feeling that this card was going to be over $3,000. It might not go over $3,000, but if it does, right, I'm not going to be surprised. Would you rather spend $2,800, let's just say, right now, today, January 29th, would you rather spend $2,800 on that Prism Refractor, or would you rather this Konnor Griffin Refractor Auto of his Bowman First Chrome?
Oh man, that's ridiculous. I'm not even a huge fan of the Prism Refractor look, right? So, but after talking about Ohtani and how his market is crazy and unpredictable, it's like rolling a dice either way at this point, So,
I'd like to see what dice you would roll.
I guess it goes back to timelines, like a really short timeline. So if I want to make a profit, if I'm looking to flip, I got, you got to roll the dice with Konnor Griffin, right? Like, the spring training's coming up, and even within a month, things could change drastically. And then people will play up the Skeens Griffin narrative, you know? So I'm looking at that in that perspective. Short flip, Konnor Griffin, I'll roll that dice.
Wow, we got him to finally choose Konnor Griffin on one of them.
You tricked me. You set me up.
No, but it's interesting though, because I think a lot of the logic is, prospects are so volatile. I'll go with the safe pick in Ohtani. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That's logic. That would be logic, right? Yeah. Because Ohtani's established career, I'd rather hold this card. But you're looking at it as, well, would you even hold that card to begin with? Yeah. I'd rather this isn't even a question for me, because you don't see that Prism Refractor necessarily doing as well as that in that time period. Yes. Maybe 100%. Over the long haul, 10 years from now, absolutely right. Yeah. But that's the whole point. I think a lot of people use that logic and then buy expensive cards, overpriced cards, when there's going to be a point in time where you could probably, well, maybe not, but you could get that Prism Refractor for cheaper if you're looking at that time frame. Right. But that's why our industry, our card world doesn't make sense, is because it relies heavily on timelines and volatility and the right time to sell. So, and that's what I've learned through this process, is there's a long-term play and there's a short-term play.
That's important.
And every time you make decisions, you can't look at it at a long-term play always, because the short-term play will always come into effect. Yeah. And this is where paper hands, it comes to full effect, because you have to make a decision whether or not, you want to sell it. So I'm on board. Like I said, I think that Konnor Griffin card could go to 5,000 before the Ohtani could get to 5,000. Yeah. But it's a race to see which one will be it, because both could go to 1,000 realistically. Right? But I'm with you. Konnor Griffin, 100%. Right now is the time. And, to sell within the next couple of months.
Excellent point. I like it. All right. I'll finish off with mine. I kind of teased at the beginning. This is kind of the Ohtani / Konnor Griffin show, right? So my pick one is Konnor Griffin, the base, the Chrome Auto, for 1,200, like I mentioned before. Or you kind of mentioned this guy, who you're also high on, Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod's base chrome auto, PSA 10, for $925.
Crazy. This is same thing. This one's interesting, but I think so. I always look at high side of the cards. Like, okay, what can the base auto of the Konnor Griffin do? Mm-hmm. I would say with legs, maybe $2,500, 3,000 pushing it. Realistically, 2,000 if things pan out. Mm-hmm. I seen that with Acuna. Settled down Acuna. We've seen Bobby Witt Jr. at 1,600, Acuna at 1,800. Yep. Right? So that's my framework. So based off that, Julio's the buy. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Julio's the buy, because if Julio puts up an MVP season, mm-hmm. I think that card could be 2,000, 2,500 as well. Yeah. Right? But that's the issue I have, is that's the upside. That's given that Julio's going to have a 40-40 season. Yeah. But Konnor Griffin could just hit 3 home runs in spring training and get that valuation. Right. That's how upside down our hobby is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that it's going to, in 2 years, 3 years, that the Julio will be less valuable. No, I think the Julio will be more valuable in the long term. So it's like that it goes back to timelines where we're now defining it. It's saying, I rather pick the Julio if I'm saying, okay, I'm going to just sit on this card for minimum 2 years and see where this goes. I'm in on the Julio. But if we're saying, okay, I'm trying to make the quickest buck, it's Konnor Griffin. If I'm looking to make the quickest buck, but I want some security of de-risking, it's the Julio.
So what are you personally doing?
I'm personally doing the Julio.
Okay.
Because if it was a refractor auto, I think I would do the refractor, just because it's a little more desirable, and like base autos just don't do it for me. Like even that Acuna, I remember I bought the base auto for 2,000, which is crazy. Yeah. And then I ended up selling it for like 3 or 3.5 at the time. And then the refractor BGS 10 I ended up selling for 6.5. Mm-hmm. So the bump was in the refractor more than the base auto. So I don't really like playing the base auto game, but the opportunity is there. But the Julio is ridiculous, because I think if everything goes right and he wins an MVP, that thing's 2,000 plus. So, that's a lot. It's like, wouldn't you rather invest $1,000 on the spread for Julio for futures to win MVP? And I guarantee the payout would be way better at that point. So, good point. I don't know if you're going to do that way, but like, that's my take. But in terms of card collecting, I think Julio is the better value for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you already mentioned it. It kind of goes, you're going to decide whether you want to make, how quick a flip you want to make, right? So if you want to take the risk of flipping within a month or two, Konnor Griffin, again, is the play here. But with a base auto, I just feel like that, I agree with you. I think the upside isn't as much, right? So what, you can get 1,400 in a month, 1,500, depending on how.
I don't think you'll get that from Julio. I think maybe 1,200 spring training bump. Julio gets to a hot start. It's more slow and steady. Whereas Konnor, if he goes off, it's like bam, like double.
The operative word is if he goes off, like if he goes off in spring training. But I think I chose this too because you and I are in the same boat with how we feel about J-Rod. Like, I think. And we're not the only ones. I'm reading articles where they think this is J-Rod's like bounce back, quote, bounce back year. It's not like he had a bad year last year, but if he can reach that 40-40 level and then be considered in the MVP talks, we're looking at what, even if it's 1,400, that's a $500 increase versus, a higher risk Konnor Griffin play. So
right. And I agree with you, man. I'm telling you, Julio's in a different era or level, I would say, because for me, Julio is so talented more than Like, I would put him over Bobby Witt Jr., but Bobby Witt Jr. I think outsells Julio right now. But I like Julio's ceiling bigger than Bobby Witt, which is crazy because I'm all in on Bobby Witt.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. We've seen Julio be average in the big leagues right now, which is crazy because his numbers are above average in general. But I think Julio's upside, like I said, he was top 10 for a reason in terms of scouting report. And I'm all in on I agree 100% that his upside is massive. And he's a type of guy. And we talked about it a bit on the pod. There's not many position players that are trajected to be 100 type WAR. There's only a few guys, especially right-handed batters, right? Albert Pujols just got in at that 100 WAR level, right? And that's with Albert Pujols doing his first 10 years in big leagues, doing some real damage, his first 10 years and kind of coasting the last 10. So Julio is on that same trajectory where, man, if he keeps this up for another 5 years, he's in the same conversation as that Albert Pujols, 100 WAR type, Juan Soto trajectory type players. So for me, that's what you're getting with Julio. He's going to fall into 80 to 100 WAR. And then when you compare it, Ken Griffey Jr., we're talking Ken Griffey Jr. That's the type of impact player you have in Julio Rodriguez. And that's why the early comps of Ken Griffey Jr. was there. I see it. A lot of people don't see it. And I know that Ken Griffey Jr. is an icon because, we were a kid watching him. But that's the type of player you have in Julio Rodriguez. And you got to love him as a player, as a fan. You got to like the upside of Seattle and where they're going. I'm all in on Julio.
Makes me want to shop for J-Rock cards after this pod.
Hey, I already shopped. I just saying. It's like I already bought it. I know it's not the ideal set. It's because some Julio cards are expensive. One, I'll throw this out. Sorry, I'm rambling. I think his Topps Chrome Auto is one of the worst cards. Like the horizontal image.
Yeah.
Horizontal image, but he doesn't have a lot of rookie autos, right? That are good. But Topps Chrome rookie auto would be the number one, but he's wearing number 85 on that jersey.
Okay.
To me, that's a question. Does that matter to you? It matters to me. He's number 44. He's known as, it's like MJ in his rookie season wearing 83 or 85. It's like, I don't want that card. And it was the same argument I had with the Acuna Sapphire auto. That's why I didn't like, it was a horizontal. And it was his minor league number, which was like 80 something. So I hate that is, so for me, I just want to get that out there. I'm off of his Topps Chrome Auto because of that. Does that matter to you?
I think what matters to me is that it's more horizontal than the number change, to tell you the truth. But
really, you don't care about the jersey number that he's wearing?
Not really.
Really? Maybe it's just me.
Maybe we could put a poll. We'll see if that matters to people.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. Would Jordan matter?
That's different. Jordan 23.
If he was wearing 53. If he was wearing 53.
Yeah, any other number besides 23.
But J-Rod's 44. Like J-Rod, like to me, it's like association. Ohtani 17. Like Ohtani couldn't be 96.
Yeah. I don't.
Weird. It's just.
I don't know.
The card's not him.
I don't know if it's like I. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget what Ohtani's number is. So it's like,
really? Yeah. I'll give you what it means to me. It would be like buying an unlicensed card.
No, come on. This is another discussion altogether.
Not to that extent. Okay. Not to that extent, but it's in that direction.
That is ridiculous.
I'm just saying. Minor league card. It's a minor league card.
No. I feel like the number thing, GOAT status only. I don't care about anyone. Wayne Gretzky, 99. Even Mario Lemieux, 66. Jordan, 23.
I agree.
GOAT status.
Julio's that guy.
Not yet.
You can't have number 55 or 54. That's just or 84 it was. Like ridiculous. Sure. But yeah, horizontal and 84, worst combination card you could ever get in a rookie auto. Topps, do better, be better. Ridiculous, man. And you're number one prospect in that year, and you give the worst rookie auto possible. And I know it wasn't under Fanatics, but just putting out there.
That's hilarious. We got Hyung riled up over this number thing.
Well, I'm shopping for a Julio rookie auto, and there's not many options.
Oh man, I think this is a good way to end off this episode. I was gonna make a J-Rod versus A-Rod comp, but I'll save that for next time. but yeah, another great episode. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll have a brand new one for you on next week on Tuesday. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.